The history of Isaris. The lands that would become Isaris were first settled by the Outlanders. For a while, the Outlanders' capital was on Estrium, the more eastern of the two twin islands, for it made a good port in connecting their large empire. However, it got moved to Dargar, a more central location, once their empire started falling apart. Both twin islands stayed under dwarfish hands for a while longer. Eventually, humans awoke in mainland Isaris and started settling three major cities. That all three would become major port and trading cities, which would make a lot of money from it. Although there was beginning to run into some problem with these three cities, that the export rate between these large city-states were causing a problem because it was really messing up with their revenue. So they created a little union to help trade between them. They even created common currency and free movement. However, the kings of all three of them did not like this because they were losing a bit of power to each other. And so they started trying to crack down and make some of these things lessen, which caused there to be less integration, and the integration that was there, and it started separating. So there was less money to be made, which caused the peasants to get mad, and they caused a revolt against all three. And the kingdom was united, but who would rule them? One prominent general, General Huthal, proclaimed himself King Huthal, the Uniter of Isaris. He was ambitious and wanted to secure more land for Isaris, so he demanded Veltrium from Dargar, and they accepted since it was very far away, and there's no point in defending it. He also demanded Estrium, which they also gave. With these two conquests, he was happy and had no more ambitions. Isaris continued to build up their navy, becoming a powerful naval power so that they could protect their trade and ships. However, eventually, King Kelthar took the throne and had ambitions on one of his neighbors, Palasai, where he swiftly invaded the unprepared forces, taking the capital, and the rest of Palasai surrendered. With this, he was happy again, and they continued to build up their fleet. A lot more, making it very, very powerful, the largest in the world. Their next ambitions was on Neron. They wanted to attract some trade concessions and to gain the port of Islanosa, which was a good area for trade and for connection, and was a wealthy port city of its own. So they attacked, started raiding all of their ports, and eventually, or quickly, they took the island itself. And they landed a force on Neonor, Neron's capital. However, they got repelled. The war continued in a stalemate, with no sides being able to make gains. So they made peace, with Isaris gaining the island of Islanosa. However, this would not last long, because in 1302, a group of Neronian nationalists went to Islanosa and burned most of the Isaris' fleet, which was stationed there, which massively crippled them, and Neron launched an invasion. And since neither side could win, Neron just decided to give them a small piece of land on the north of the island just to settle Isaris' ambitions. So they did. Isaris founded a city called Hunthor in honor of King Huthal, Uniter, and sent immigrants there from Palestine, Isaris. It would become another wealthy port city, rivaling Islanosa, which was there originally. However, eventually a new king would come to rule, and he was harsh and wanted to create the largest fleet in all of the world. So he made strict quotas in Palestine that if each village did not produce a certain number of ships, they would not get food, and he cut down so many trees in order to build this grand fleet. This caused discontent in Palestine, which would culminate in them revolting in 1503. However, Palestine would not remain separate for long, as in 1732, Isaris would reclaim Palestine with the new rising power of Arcanor, they swiftly and unexpectedly came to Palisade, defeating any troops that were stationed there because they didn't expect an invasion, quickly taking some of the other holdings, including the Twin Islands, before going to mainland Isaris. This was Isaris' first major defeat, which Palisade was stripped away, becoming Arcanor puppet, and they lost both Twin Islands. This would cause a hatred for Arcanor that would grow as time passed. And when Arcanor and Frelos went to war against the Rhaenon, and when it was clear that they were about to lose, Isaris saw this opportunity to take back both Twin Islands from Arcanor, which was now destroyed. However, two of the states that would come from Arcanor were Arclane and Ignor. And Ignor wanted to take Isla Norsa from Neron to expand its empire. However, they could not make any gains, so one rogue general decided to burn Hunthor, and take the city. This devastated the city, making it almost more like a city. It completely ruined it, killing many people. This forced Isaris into the war, however. It did not change much. So Isaris stayed weak and crippled in an isolated state. This would not help in 2982, when a large stone beast called the Kyrgyr, which would ravage their shores, it was sent by the Rhaenon to ensure that they kept down. It damaged their trade and ships, which was their main way of making money, so it really hurt them, and the connection between the Twin Islands and Huthal became a nightmare. So, when their traditional enemy of Arcanor, or Arclane, offers them alliance in return for them slaying the Kyrgyr, they have no choice but to, since they were so massively weak at this point. And when they do slay the Kyrgyr, they join the coalition. And when war breaks out, they join the war on the coalition side, and ultimately winning. Isaris would not really gain anything much of the war, other than the slaying of the Kyrgyr. Isaris, its history was known of that a great naval empire that slowly crumbled due to revolts and war. The end.